Hello, I am Arion. This is Book Zealot. September wrap-up. I read 7 books, and I will have to put up 2, try to insert the card, whatever, video editing. It was a pretty good reading month, I think, and I am extremely glad that for Historathon, we're in the last quarter. So I believe it's 1820 time period to modern day, current. I do not have all of my page totals up. I brought 13 books in and unhauled 22 for the month of September. So huzzah. The books that I do not have, I think I already put it in the unhaul bag, box, donate. I don't know because I can't find it. It's not in my pile. The Indifferent Stars Above. I finally read it, got it finished. It was so good. I highly recommend it. It is not just about the Donner Party. It has a plethora, so much information about so many different things. Talked about PTSD. Oh, I can imagine. It had information about men doing the exact same work as women and how they burned more calories doing the same thing because they have more muscle mass than women. Oh, it was so good. Who deceased before the other people and why, and stubbornness. There's some group, the one group that was so stubborn. And if better decisions had been made, it wouldn't have happened. Didn't have to happen. Such a good book. Read it. Highly recommend it. Okay. The other one is Hester. And again, I'll try and put the information in. And Hester is an historical fictional book about Nathaniel Hawthorne and how he came to write The Scarlet Letter. The author of that book included information about the sensory of people, and I forget what it's called. I was talking to my daughter about it yesterday, and I've already forgotten what it's called, about how some people see colors when they listen to music or when they hear noises or people talking. And this woman, her name was Isabel, was talking about how she would see colors, see letters of the alphabet in colors. And for the letter A, it was scarlet red. It was interesting. There are some steamy parts in it, not detailed, but enough that gave me pause where I thought, uh-oh, I'm going to have to DNF this book. And then it stopped. But there is adultery in it. Obviously there's adultery in it because that's what the Scarlet Letter is all about. And let me just say, it did not put Nathaniel Hawthorne in a good light. I did not like him in this book. Little coward. Anyway, it was an interesting book, and that was what got me on the whole thread of looking up embroidery. And yeah, okay. Oh, do I have that book? Okay, well, let me just start. The very first book that I finished for the month of September, and I think everybody already knows, if you've seen it, I didn't like it, The Splendor Before the Dark by Margaret George. I used to love Margaret George, but I think her writing is still good. I think it's the topic. I don't like Romans. So, And does anybody know why the brick streets don't have any vegetation on them? Did they pour salt on them to keep them maintained? Very curious to know. If you know, let me know. Okay, another book that I've read. I kind of want to look at these. Oh, here it is. My bad. The Indifferent Stars. The Indifferent Stars Above, The Harrowing Saga of the Donner Party by Daniel James Brown. The book I don't have is actually The Girl from the Train, which I'll insert, and I already did a video on that. So, but somebody pointed out that there were parts in it that weren't appropriate, and I don't know if she was referring to the age gap people or if she was talking about the two people in Poland and the woman may or may not have been still married. The book is so vague about a lot of different things, so I guess you can interpret it how you wanted to. I interpreted it as her husband was no more. Anyway, so this book, excellent. Fates and Traitors by Jennifer Chiavarini. I had to look that up because I know everybody says Chiavarini and it's Chiavarini, according to what I found online. Because I don't want any pedantic people cussing me out about how I mispronounce people's names. Anyway, I digress. This was fascinating. This was so fascinating. It reads like historical fiction. It reads, well, I think it is historical fiction. I don't know if it's labeled as historical fiction. This book was well worth the $2.99. I'm trying to remove the... come on, sticker. Get off. It is labeled as... It doesn't say. Why would it say? That would make life easier on me right now. And it's not... Whatever. Okay. It reads like fiction in some parts. I'm sorry. It reads like nonfiction in parts. And it is of the... I'm trying to figure out how to word this. It is written in first-person narrative, but in more than one person. So you find out from different people what was happening from their point of view, which I thought was really interesting. Now, in the beginning, it talks about John Wilkes Booth's parents, whom I didn't know anything about. I did not know that he was already married, John Wilkes Booth Sr. So he was shacking up with John Wilkes's mother. John Wilkes Booth Jr. was shacking up with the mother, and they had a lot of kids. I don't remember how many kids. They had a lot. And first wife comes around because they were originally in England. They ran away to England, or to America. In the book, she's not pregnant. In reality, she was, I think, not just pregnant, but I think had already had the baby and was 5 months old, if I remember correctly, because I looked it up. And so it was so weird and fascinating, and there was so much information in this book that made me go to the website, look things up, and say, oh, this is what really happened. So the truth was actually uglier than the fiction. This was so good. If I have a book that's making me look everything up because I want to know, oh, did that really happen? And then find out, oh, real life was so much worse. Okay, so John Wilkes Booth Sr., his first wife finds out where that scum bucket is living, I say that very loosely, because he was an actor, and so he was never home. He was a loser, too, because he had some issues with certain substances and wasn't really taking care of his family and all of his children, all of his offspring. That was left to his mistress, adulteress, woman, keeper, whatever you want to call her. What would you call her? The adulteress. I don't know what to call her.
Second partner outside of legality?
Illegal. Yeah. I don't know. What do you call her? So the first wife, the legal wife, finds this man, embarrasses the snot out of him in front of the theater workers. And, there were certain behaviors that were illegal back then. Should probably still be illegal. And his first son. Now, I'm assuming they probably would have had more children had he actually been around. But he left her. Don't know what the issues were, whatever. I don't know if he married her because she had money. Doesn't even stinking matter. He made a bad choice and made things worse. So John Wilkes Booth Jr. had issues because he did not want to be an illegitimate child. Went so far as to apparently tattoo himself on his hand. I do believe that there was an eventual divorce and there was an eventual marriage. And did that change the fact that the other children were born out of wedlock? No, it really didn't. And John Wilkes Booth Jr. pretty much lived out the same lifestyle as his father. Monkey see, monkey do. Then I read Varina, which was really weird to read because I was reading at the same time as Fates and Traders. So this was by Charles Frazier. And this is the best-selling author of Cold Mountain. I had issues with this book. But if you don't know who Varina is, Varina Davis was the wife of Jefferson Davis, who became the president of the Confederate States. Was I reading ahead of schedule? Yes, I was. But it doesn't matter because this is fiction. However, again, I was looking up so many facts to find out what was true, what was fake, what was, fictionalized, what was the author's artistic rendering. And I'm glad I read it. There were, again, things in it that I disagreed with, historically disagreed with. And I'm not sure if this one is listed as historical fiction or just fiction. I don't know. Anyways, it made me very curious to know about Jefferson Davis and, of course, his wife as well. But I have a book that I want to get to for this next quarter of Historathon about the First Ladies. It probably won't have Varina Davis because it wasn't in the Union, and since the Confederates lost, she probably won't be included. But I do want to read about the wives, and I do want to read about Jefferson Davis's books on the Civil War. They're bricks, so I probably won't finish them. And as you can probably tell, I have a whole bunch of modern books that I need to read. So there's that. And then I read, I think this is the last one. Yeah, so this is the Clothes, Your Clothes Say It For You by Elizabeth Rice Hanford. I will do a book review on this on my Christian channel. It's very old, but it's not really dated, which is interesting. The clothes mentioned are dated, but the information behind it isn't dated. So if you know, what do you wear when you're feeling sick? You wear comfort clothes. What do you wear when you're going out to feel really good or powerful, or if you've got a job interview, or if you're going running, or if you're doing this or that or whatever, right? Your clothes matter. If you dress nicely, you feel better about yourself. If you wear slovenly clothes and dirty clothes and torn clothes and you're going to feel a little less better about yourself. And modesty, obviously, plays a part in this. But that was my month. And I don't know, how many of those do you think I'm going to be unhauling? So that was September. It was a good reading month. I think I did not finish a book that I started for Historathon, and that was Rush, Benjamin Rush by Stephen Fried or Stephen Fried or Freed. I don't know. This is really good. I'm going to continue reading it even though we're in the last quarter of Historathon. This is really good. I don't know much about Rush, and there's speculation that there isn't much known about him. He kind of became a secondary founding father because his son would not allow his father's journals or writings to be published because a lot of information in the journals were about other founding fathers because he was a doctor. There was a lot of private information, probably TMI, just saying. And so he kind of fell out of history, so to speak. You always hear about George Washington, you always hear about Thomas Jefferson, you always hear about John Adams, and you always hear about, who's the other one? Thomas Jefferson, did I mention him already? Benjamin Franklin, and probably a little bit about John Hancock. And that's probably about it. And who?
That Paine, Thomas Paine.
Thomas Paine, yes, Thomas Paine. So you hear about them, and then everybody else is sort of just in a shadow, and you don't know them, and you don't know anything about them. So I will finish this one. It is so good. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all had a great reading month yourself. Please leave a comment below on what you think about any of these books. Do they sound interesting to you? And I will try and get a video up for October. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you very much for joining. Bye.